I have tested a lot of different smart home tech products over the years, and some of them has been good and some of them has been bad. But in this video, we're gonna cover the ones that I enjoy using the most. And welcome to my home. Amanda and the kids is out of town, which means that I have an entire house for myself, which is amazing because then I can make this video, but it's also a little bit lonely because it gets very silent whenever the family is not home. I think that one of the most boring things when it comes to good smart home tech is that you rarely notice it when it works. And it usually takes a little bit of time to set up, which means that a lot of people are not diving into it and they're not spending the time to actually get something to work, and it turns into frustration more so than actually an experience. And the first thing that comes to mind when you want to have a seamless experience that is easy to set up and have something that just works, smart lights. They look right here. Huh? I love being able to change that. I bought some of my very first Philips Hue strip lights over 8 years ago, and they are still working to this day. And some of the light bulbs that we got here in the house as well was actually bought in 2018 when we moved into our previous apartment. And I basically just filled the entire house with smart lights. Let me show you the bedroom. Ta-da! I've actually put some light strips under the bed to get this nice glow. But then we also have a Philips Hue over here and a Twilight over here. The more Philips Hue lights that you actually got, the bigger of an effect it will give you when you're walking around in your house. One of the things that I like the most is the Twilight light that we got, which is a bedside light. If I press one button, it turns off the entire house, which means that I don't have to think about walking around to turn off all the lights in the house. And if I press the next button, it just turns everything on. I gotta say the thing that I like the most with Philips Hue is the ease of use and how freaking simple it is to get started with smart home lights. But the downside though is that it's very expensive. But as I said, I've been using Philips Hue for over 8 years at this point, and there has never been a single issue with either my lights or the setup. And the thing that usually scares people the most from actually buying a smart home setup is that they can't use the regular light switch. But you can just buy something like this, which is called the tap dial switch. It's basically 4 buttons in one single switch with a dimmer that you can twist and turn. So instead of actually using light switches, you can just put up tap dial switches all around your house, and you're gonna be able to control all the lights no matter where you go, what you do. It's just going to be as simple as using the actual light switch. If you somehow manage to turn off one light with the light switch, there's nothing to worry about. Because when you're setting the light up, you just got to make sure that you actually set it to a power loss recovery, and it's going to go back to the same setting as it was previously. It's either going to stay off or it's going to turn on again. It's up to you. There's also a bunch of sensors that you can use to automate your lights and make sure that they turn on or off when they sense movement or depending on how bright it is and so on and so forth. And as you can see right here, I put a sensor in the playroom so that if it gets too dark in the playroom, the lights turn on if it senses motion. And these sensors are actually smarter than you might think because not only do they have lux meter built in, but also motion sensor and temperature. But you actually don't have the possibility to see the temperature in the Philips Hue app. But you can do that if you're using a Home Pro, which we'll get to soon. Next up is this, which is the Yale Smart Home Lock. What I like the most about it is that you don't need to have a key. You can just remember your code. It's actually very simple to install. But it also gives the entire family simpler access to the house so that my son can get in. Even though I'm not home, I can just unlock it from my phone if needed. The biggest drawback that I've experienced after using it for over 2 years now is that you need to change the batteries maybe like once every 6 to 8 months. It's definitely not a deal breaker, but it's one of those things that might be a little bit annoying if you just want things to be as is. But we still do have a regular lock for sort of like a fail-safe method if something were to happen to this lock, but I doubt it will. There has been no issues with the locks and they work just great. And another thing that I've done is that I actually put my fingerprints into my doorbell so that I can lock my house with my fingerprint. Let me show you how. So the brain behind my smart home is actually called the Home Pro, which is basically allowing me to connect all the different smart home units that I got here in the house to one single device and allows me to control them together with the use of something that they call flows. So for example, if you want to start the AC when you're not home, it's going to be very hard for you to actually go and reach for the remote. So I went out and bought a unit that's called the Toto Smart AC Controller and then connected that to my Home Pro, which allows me to create a flow. So whenever I press one of these buttons here, I can just start the AC without actually using the remote. See? And then you can change the different fan modes. You can put it on fan 1, fan 2. You can adjust the heat depending on what kind of flows that you actually create with the Homey Pro. It is kind of a clean design, a little bit of an LED ring that is glowing here in the bottom. Gives you a little bit of a nice ambience when it's dark. But it basically allows you to only open one app no matter what kind of unit that you want to control. So instead of having to go into this app to control this device and then that app to control that device, you can just create a flow with the different devices that is talking together. And one of the best flows that I've set up is with our SmartWings blinds. So basically 15 minutes before the sun is at its highest point in the sky, our blinds will go down. And the kicker is that you can control when they actually do that as well. So I've connected our Netatmo weather station to actually be able to provide us with weather updates. So if it's cloudy outside, then the blinds will not go down. But if it's going to be a clear sky or if it's going to be partly cloudy, then the blinds will go down. But if the wind is above a specific point, then the blinds will not go down either. So I think it's kind of cool how you can set that up and create different kind of flows that works together with how you live your life. The biggest downside that I've experienced after using Homey Pro for more than 2 years now is that it takes time to learn. And there's, as I said in the beginning, you know, this learning curve that is a little bit hard to get over. You also don't have to create advanced flows and make the hardest kind of flows when you're starting out. You can just start out with turning on a light when you wake up in the morning or something like that. But the coolest part though is that when you have a really good flow, such as the SmartWing blinds outside, set up and working, then you stop to think about the units. They just handle themselves. I don't need to do anything. They just do it automatically. And it's actually by creating a flow in Homey with UniFi Protect that allows me to unlock my door with my fingerprint. And UniFi Protect is probably the most smooth experience that I have ever had when it comes to surveillance cameras. The thing that I like the most with it is that the entire system stores your photos and videos locally. So there's no subscription fee, there's no cloud storage, which means that you are in control of the data that you're recording around and inside your property, depending on where you set up your cameras. But they also have incredibly well-built cameras. I mean, like this camera they got right here has been running for over 2 years continuously, every single day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, no issues whatsoever. And I've been using Arlo and other similar products on the market as well, but there's no one that is as reliable as UniFi Protect. And they also have a freaking amazing design language that I like personally, but they just jam-pack features into the cameras and the units that they are offering. There's multiple different setups that you can use for your UniFi Protect system, and the setup that I have is kind of overkill for most users. But if you have a lot of 4K footage and you're moving a lot of those files around, then this entire setup is actually crucial to be able to get it to work. I'm not gonna go full on nerd on this setup in this video, but I will make a video very soon covering this entire setup, because trust me, it's interesting, especially if you're a creator, because that's 140 plus terabytes right there. And then we have my favorite, which is the Roborock Saros 20. Now this is probably the main thing that I would recommend to anyone that wants to start their smart home journey. And as you may or may not know, I did try the DJI Romo a while back, but I was not satisfied with that. So I actually went back to Roborock. And if you look at this, you have two mops here on the bottom. Now you have a split roller brush in the middle. Now the cool thing with this is that it rises up kind of high. You can see how high the wheels go. And it can also climb up thresholds. And that's pretty cool, even though it's not something that we need in this house, but it's always nice to have the option. The mops actually go out to the side, which means that it's covering a bigger area and gets into those corners much more easily. Same thing actually goes for this brush as well. So it goes out, it leans into the corner, and it actually makes the entire vacuuming much simpler. Now this has no issues going on thick carpets, basically cleans up the entire house without any issues so far. And before I got the Saros 20, I was actually using the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra. And the reliability of Roborock's Robo vacuums has been outstanding. I don't think there's a single time where I actually haven't been satisfied with their units. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you feel empowered to actually get started on your own smart home journey. And maybe you found some inspiration on where to start or what to buy and where you want to spend your money on. But stay tuned for the network setup video, because that's gonna be a sick one, especially if you're a creator. 10 gigabit speed in my entire house plus the studio. That is wild. Don't forget to give the video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to join in on the next video. And I will say that Peter from Sweden is saying goodbye.